Without mentioning Andrew Napolitano, it would be nearly difficult to discuss legal analysis on cable news. He was a familiar sight on Fox News, showing up virtually every night until he was removed one day. You might find it hard to believe, but the retired jurist's departure from Fox News wasn't a one-time occurrence. A libertarian judge and a constantly shifting media behemoth had a number of divergent viewpoints. The true reason Andrew Napolitano is at Fox News, including the problems, internal politics, and what actually transpired behind the scenes, is finally being revealed in today's film. Here is the complete tale at last. The judge, Andrew Peter Napolitano, is a retired jurist and columnist who was well known for his libertarian viewpoint and critique of past U.S. presidents Donald Trump, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. In addition, he presided over 160 jury trials while serving as the youngest judge at the New Jersey Superior Court from 1987 to 1995. In addition, he spent 24 years at Fox News and has over 14,500 media appearances to his credit. Napolitano is currently very busy hosting the podcast and YouTube series Judging Freedom. The year 2021 was somewhat turbulent for Andrew Napolitano. After all, he received a complaint during this year that resulted in his dismissal from Fox News. Fox News associate John Fawcett, 27, submitted a complaint against Napolitano on August 2, 2021, accusing the jurist of misconduct. He said that the Fox News HR staff did not take any action against him. Fox News stated that they looked into the charges as soon as they became public and spoke with both parties about the situation. This explains why the legal analyst will not be on the cable news channel for a few months. In the case, the plaintiff, John Fawcett, described how Andrew Napolitano stroked his arm and made extremely provocative remarks to him at Fox News offices. Fawcett immediately informed his co-workers of what had happened after the incident. However, they instantly burst out laughing instead of offering assistance. They assert that Judge Napolitano's harassment of younger men at work was nothing new. The plaintiff's co-worker likewise experienced a similar situation. Fawcett, a junior and relatively new employee, chose not to report the incident out of concern that it might endanger his network career. Lou Dobbs was still Fawcett's boss at the time. Additionally, when the latter told Fox Corp's top human resources officer, Kevin Lord, about the incident, Lord dismissed it. John Fawcett began his career at Fox News as Lou Dobbs' production assistant. However, because Dobbs' show was cancelled, it was a fairly brief run. Fawcett thus secured employment as an associate producer on Larry Kudlow's program. Speaking of Kudlow, Fawcett also made accusations against him, saying that the presenter had repeatedly made offensive remarks about women in front of several staff members and used ethnic slurs. Furthermore, according to Fawcett, Kudlow prevented a lawmaker from participating as a guest on his show because of the politician's race. To put it mildly, John Fawcett is a really brave man since he pursued more than just these Napolitano and Kudlow. He also targeted Stephanie Freeman, a top producer at Fox News at the time. Fawcett accused Freeman of discriminating against male employees of Kudlow on multiple occasions. Additionally, according to Fawcett's complaint, Freeman was attempting to compel the anonymous employees to quit or risk being fired. Fox News was fast to repair the damage once the accusations against Andrew Napolitano made their way into the mainstream media, firing the jurist almost immediately. Following the incident, Fox News claimed in a statement that the network and Judge Napolitano had since split up. "We take accusations of misconduct seriously, are dedicated to giving all of our employees a secure, open, and cooperative work environment, and took prompt, appropriate action." According to Fox News, the other accusations that Fawcett submitted are utterly unfounded and really a last-ditch effort to get a paycheck. The cable news network has additionally stated that it intends to mount a strong legal defense. After a few months, John Fawcett's allegation that Andrew Napolitano had made attempts on him was rejected in 2022. Citing several factors, the sitting judge rejected the claim in February 2022. First of all, the plaintiff was not under Napoleon's supervision, and second, the occurrence did not fit the legal description of widespread harassment. Even if Napol prevailed in the end, the harm had already been done. As a result, Fox News' zero-tolerance policy after O'Reilly forced them to terminate him permanently. Despite the fact that his sudden departure from Fox News was unexpected, it's crucial to understand that this wasn't Napolitano's first issue or punishment for doing anything out of the ordinary. In actuality, Andrew Napolitano experienced a similarly identical scenario a year prior to Fawcett's report. When news broke in September 2020 that a South Carolina man had filed a massive $10 million lawsuit against Fox News judge Andrew Napolitano, the media community was stunned in shock. The lawsuit described how, in the 1980s, when the guy was only a 20-year-old criminal defendant, the former judge of the New Jersey Superior Court violently sexually raped and sodomized him. He further says that in order to keep the man silent about the entire situation, Napolitano used his influence to lower the victim's sentence. Furthermore, the lawsuit claimed that Napolitano attempted to quiet the plaintiff and prevent him from bringing the action by making the audacious decision to contact local authorities. The plaintiff had threatened to harm him. As stated in the complaint, these statements were blatantly false. The complainant never threatened anyone in any way. Andrew Napolitano was sued in early September 2020 by Charles Corbishley, who owned a cleaning services business. He also sought $10 million in compensation in the aforementioned action, in addition to a jury trial. This incident, of course, also damaged Fox News' reputation as one of the well-known personalities on the cable news channel. As a result, they quickly assured Fox News in the strongest possible terms that the accusations are untrue and that he would defend them in court, saying that the judge had already sent notice to them. These allegations are wholly untrue. In a statement issued by his attorney, Tom Clare, Napolitano declared, "Full stop. I have never done anything similar to what the accuser says to anyone for any purpose at any time. I have never had a personal relationship with the individual who was accusing me, nor have I ever had any inappropriate contact or communication with him. All of the accusations he has made against me are untrue." Even Clare thought the lawsuit was absurd, and he revealed that Napolitano was willing to conduct a thorough inquiry and that Napolitano informed federal law enforcement of Corbishley's threatening action. At the time of Napolitano's statement, his lawyer also mentioned that Corbishley is being watched by the local police in order to protect the Fox News media personality because of his violent past and threats to attack Napolitano. According to his purported complaint, Corbishley was charged with arson following a 3-count indictment in November 1987. Robert A. Hollis, a dishonest lawyer and Corbishley's defense lawyer, is another important character in the narrative. Hollis encouraged Corbishley to accept a plea offer without a plea agreement and told him to appear at the judge's home in Hackinaw. In addition to being Hollis's close friend, Napolitano served as the presiding judge in his case. In short, Hollis told him to go there pretending to work for the judge in order to present himself favorably. He thought he would be doing just that in Hackinaw, so he even brought a snow shovel. When he arrived at Napolitano's house, Corbishley said hello to the judge and said that he was there to shovel snow. Given that the driveway had already been shoveled and that there didn't seem to be any significant snow surrounding the home that needed to be shoveled, the judge then gave him the order to shovel the driveway. Napolitano went back inside a bit later, pulled on a coat, and invited Corbishley to stand aside so they could speak briefly. In this case, the judge said Corbishley might be leaving for a while. He continued by describing how Napolitano forced the younger man to his knees by placing his hand on his shoulder. From this point on, the judge sexually attacked Corbish, and when he was finished, the young guy fled in tears. Back then, he was afraid of what would happen to him if he rebelled or resisted the judgment. So he took no action. Additionally, the lawsuit claims that Corbishley was not aware that Hollis, his defense lawyer, was operating a nationwide prostitution network at the time. Additionally, 2 days following the alleged attack, Hollis implied to his client that he was aware of the events involving him and the judge. Corbishley entered a plea agreement to all 3 offenses under Hollis's direction, and Napolitano sentenced him to an unusually light term. He was given a 5-year probationary period and 150 hours of community service instead of a sentence that would have placed him behind bars for years. Remember that Corbishley had a previous juvenile arson charge and is charged with arson, burglary of a motor vehicle, and aggravated arson. Corbishley's co-defendant, Edward Whiteau, on the other hand, was found guilty of the same crime as Corbishley and sentenced to several years in jail on the same 3 charges. The plaintiff has a criminal record spanning 25 years, according to Napolitano's attorney. Other offenses that Corbishley committed include drug distribution, battery, possession of stolen property, possession of illegal weapons, and credit card fraud. The fact that a former criminal defendant can use false and incendiary accusations to harm reputations and careers decades after a routine criminal case, without any supporting evidence, should be of serious concern to all judges and the other committed public officials who oversee our criminal justice system. According to Claire, the case has not yet been settled, and because Napolitano was the leading commentator at the time, the fallout from these accusations led to his suspension from television for a number of months. If you think this accusation is startling enough, wait till Charles Corbishley filed his case against Andrew Napolitano in the same month. When a certain James Krusnick came out and said the judge attempted to take advantage of him by offering legal advice in exchange for having sex, it fueled the flames of the continuing accusation against Andrew Napolitano at the time. According to Krusnick, he first saw Napolitano in 2014 while working as a waiter at a restaurant in Sussex County. The judge allegedly followed him into the restroom of the restaurant, where the former groped him and said, "You are just so hot." Naturally, Tom Clare jumped to his client's defense, claiming the most recent accusation was untrue in a copycat lawsuit brought by the same law firm that represented Corbishley. Napolitano was 20 years older than Krusel at the time of the frequent harassment, just like Corbishley. When Krusel visited Napolitano's house in September 2015, he also stated that the judge coerced him into a strange conduct that included spanking. Krusel was also severely criticized at one point for being gay at work. Therefore, in November 2015, he asked the judge for legal advice. When he returned to Napolitano's house, the latter allegedly said, "If you do things for me, I'll do things for you." Years later, in August 2017, the judge invited Krusnick to swim on his property. This was their last meeting. Here, Krusnick claimed in the lawsuit that Napolitano attempted to rape him in the bedroom as he was getting dressed. Napolitano was not alone either. Several people who wished to remain anonymous also made an effort. Judge Napolitano's disgusting behavior has caused Mr. Cruel both bodily and psychological suffering. It's particularly troubling that Mr. Krusnick was hesitant to come forward because he thought no one would believe him since he was gay. The case was announced in a statement by Krusnick's attorney, John Norensberg. Like Corbishley, Krusnick's lawsuit against the court is still pending, which has negatively impacted his reputation at Fox News and ultimately resulted in his dismissal. Considering all of these accusations, it was clear that Napolitano would be permanently removed from Fox News. Nevertheless, he was unaware that Fox News executives were keeping a close eye on him. Beginning in March 2017, Andrew Napolitano's claim that Obama had wiretapped Trump during the 2016 elections created a significant diplomatic uproar on a global scale. In retrospect, this might have also hinted to the conflict between Napolitano and Fox News, which ultimately resulted in his first job suspension. During an interview on Fox and Friends, Napolitano boldly claimed that Obama surveilled Trump using the outside chain of command rather than the NSA, CIA, or FBI. He claimed that GCHQ, the British equivalent of the NSA, specifically kept an eye on Trump. Obama avoided putting American fingerprints on the surveillance by using them. The audacious assertion, of course, escalated rather rapidly, reaching the White House in under 1 second. Trump's earlier tweets accusing him of being wiretapped were defended by then Press Secretary Sean Spicer, who referenced Napolitano's statements from the White House podium. Naturally, being involved in such a contentious matter infuriated the UK, which denounced such assertions as absurd. Napolitano faced a barrage of criticism. Additionally, Fox News chose to suspend him for nearly 2 weeks in order to wait for the controversy to subside and as a penalty for speaking without sufficient evidence because he was unable to confirm his sources. As everyone is aware, Napolitano eventually made a comeback to the air. However, it was clear from that point on that the judge's relationship with the cable news network had changed. Before becoming a contentious character whose reports required stringent oversight and screening by Fox management, he was Fox News legal expert. The legal analyst has been using YouTube as a venue to express his views ever since he fell from grace at Fox News. Napolitano began his career as an independent libertarian legal commentator in July 2022 when he established his own YouTube channel. He has 667,000 followers as of January 2026, and his first video alone had an incredible 467,000 views. Because of his daily streams, Napolitano has a fairly large following and has established himself as one of the most reliable figures in the right-leaning viewpoint space. Additionally, the audiences of Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan frequently overlap with his content. Let's just say that after leaving Fox News, Napolitano's supporters are happy to see him still involved in the media. He may freely share his opinions without influencing other people or networks, at least with his show Judging Freedom. Napolitano described his program as hard-hitting legal political news from a man who understands and respects the Constitution and the importance of defending individual freedoms, from the viewpoint that the individual is superior to the state and that government is the denial of liberty. In real time, he applies his outstanding experience and legal research to attack presidential war powers, surveillance overreach, and even First Amendment issues, among other issues. Napolitano now has complete control over his channel thanks to his move to YouTube. He can now give unscripted commentary that directly addresses the issues of his audience without having to filter his opinions. Since he is no longer constrained by the newsroom's editorial filter, his dismissal from Fox News has turned out to be a blessing in disguise. If anything, his flourishing channel is a sign of the growth of platforms that are independently owned. He is an example of a successful comeback in media relevance if you have the necessary credentials, legal knowledge, and a strong personal brand. Andrew Napolitano, who strangely became a divisive figure on Fox News, has now more than ever doubled down on the libertarian ideals for which he is renowned. One glaring example of how becoming embroiled in issues may destroy a person's career is Andrew Napolitano's decline from grace. Additionally, it might mark the beginning of a free and independent run of their own heritage. Thanks to Judging Freedom, he has found no one to stop him from criticizing Donald Trump and the American system in general. Trump and I have been acquainted since 1986. Napolitano told Morgan County, USA, he interviewed me twice for the Supreme Court of the United States, so that will show you the level of interaction that we have had. I did not make Fox management happy when I criticized some of the things he did during his first term and when I said that there was an articulable legal basis for both of his impeachments. Additionally, Napolitano said he hasn't voted for a Republican since he voted for Ronald Reagan in 1984 because he doesn't trust big government. The judge does not condone the expenditure of $1 trillion for the Defense Department to maintain 750 foreign military installations in 80 countries, which is why he has been harshly critical of Trump. I have not hesitated to be harshly critical of him. From his bizarre interpretation of the 14th Amendment to his dispatching of masked men to arrest people in the streets and incarcerate them without due process and deport them without hearings to bombing Iran to funding these wars. All of this behavior is not only contrary to what he promised but is profoundly unconstitutional and in my view is many steps toward authoritarianism.